Freshers integration track, it's my pet project. I've done this for I've practiced it now for about 6 years. It works, but I'm still at the manual level. And what it means basically is that you need to have a system that tracks first-timers, freshers, from the first day they come to your church for the next 2 years to know their growth. So number one, it means that you have a deliberate growth plan for the church members who join you. Joining the welcome class, baptismal class, workers in training class, ministers in training class, until they become ministers. You have a platform. For me, 2 years is ideal. For some people may want to do it longer, but when you do it for 2 years, with the system that I know, they can actually mature into your system. They may not have become mature Christians, but they have matured into your system. And from there, you can track them better. So that's the whole essence, that once they come to the church, somebody is watching out for their growth and their contribution to the church. That way, we don't miss out anybody. It's a very tough option. But what I have done on 2 occasions now in my current church and my last church is to appoint somebody to understand this. Then we work on it one day at a time. That's how it works. And the reason for this is simple. It has been discovered that less than 1/2 of the members of a church, at the best, attend any given Sunday service. So less than 50% of members of your church. So if 200 people show up in your church today, it is most likely that you have 400 members. If 100 members show up in your church today, it is most likely that you have 200 members by research. And one of the reasons for this is the fact that many first-time worshipers, who I call freshers, in the church are either not well received on their first visit, or they are not well engaged to feel that they are valuable members. If you don't engage them well, or you don't receive them well, they will not come back, or they will not feel comfortable returning to your church. So a growing church intentionally engages the heart of its members. A 2016 Pew Research study on why members switch churches noted that 79% of their respondents cited the importance of a welcoming feeling. So close to 80% of people, what is most important to them is they want to feel welcome into the church. They want to have this feeling that they are welcome. There's a warm welcome. They are well received. So 80% of the people who don't come back to your church because they don't feel they are well received from the church and lay leaders. That is the reason. And that's why they leave the church and they choose a new church. So it's often said that the back door of the church witnesses more exits of freshers than those who come in through the front door of your church. The back door witnesses more exits than those who come in through the front door in your church. And what are the basic concerns of a fresher attending a new church? There are 5 basic concerns. Number 1, will I know anyone in this new church? Number 2, will I be well received in this church as I'm going there today? Number 3, will I fit into the church? Number 4, where should I sit? Number 5, will someone recognize me in the church? Those are 5 things that first-timers think as they are going to a new church. on Sunday morning? Will I know somebody? Will I be well received? Will I fit into the church? Where should I sit? Then will somebody recognize me? Will somebody recognize me? Will my dressing be appropriate? Will my sitting be appropriate? Will my language be appropriate? Will I see people who are in my demography, who are in my social class? Those are the things they are worrying about. So already they are tensed up when they are coming to the church for the first time. So the way to douse this tension is for them to be well received. So if they are not well received, they lose it. So in the corporate world, it has been discovered through research that 93% of employers acknowledge that a good onboarding experience plays a pivotal role in influencing the decision of a new staff to remain long with the organization. So even in companies, how they are treated in the first 1 month that they come to a company, 93% of the company's employers said it determines how long they will stay in your company, the first 1 month. So if it happens in the secular, it happens in the church. So in church growth literature, it has been emphasized that a fresher decides whether or not to stay in a church even before the pastor mounts the pulpit to preach. So by the time you are coming to preach, the man has made up his mind up to 80% whether he will stay or not. So the deciding factor on how long a new member stays in your church is how he or she is received from the first minute he enters the church. This is the background. So within the first 5 minutes, the man makes up his mind to stay or to leave your church. So you need to now do something. Before the pastor starts preaching, they have made up their mind to stay or to go, not to come back. So when the pastor is coming in, it's just reinforcing what they want to hear or know. So if the pastor is now clumsy, say, hey, it's the same people. It doesn't work. So what is Freshers Integration Track? I call it FIT, F-I-T. It's a process of integrating freshers, that is first-timers in the church, into the system and culture of the church. How do you make first-timers to blend into your system and culture, to look like you, to understand you? Because Freshers Integration Track involves activities that are aimed at making people to settle down in church early, to feel that they are part of the church. Why does a church need Freshers Integration Track? Why do we need it? To deliberately monitor the growth and development of freshers in the church. We need to be intentional. To be able to account for all the souls that God is bringing to the church on a daily basis. We have to be intentional so that we can account for all the souls God is bringing to us. Now, the responsibility of the pastor or minister in charge of Freshers Integration Track. If you are going to succeed with this assignment, you need to appoint a pastor or a minister to be in charge, because the pastor cannot do this. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And this is the core of the church. It's the core of church growth. There's a need to appoint an assistant pastor or a pastor or minister to coordinate Freshers Integration Track. Somebody has to coordinate this. And identifying and productively engaging freshers in the church by encouraging them to feel at home, identify the church as theirs, and also be willing to add value, to make contributions to the church. What will be the responsibility of this pastor or minister in charge of freshers integration track? Planning, designing, implementing integration strategies for each fresher or a group of freshers with identical demographics, profile, outlook, and environment. And what you will do to make this man feel comfortable will be different from what you do to make the other man comfortable. If somebody is unemployed, what you need to do to make him comfortable in your church is different from what you do to make an entrepreneur comfortable in your church. If somebody is newly married, what you need to do to make him comfortable in your church is different from what you need to keep a single man comfortable in your church. It just goes on like that. Somebody is an elderly person. What you need to keep him comfortable in your church is different from what you need to keep a young, agile man comfortable. So there are many things. So that's why we need to design strategies, integration strategies for each fresher or a group of freshers with identical demographics, profile, outlook, and environment. Then we need to, the pastor in charge of freshers integration track will need to track and document the progress of the freshers over a 2-year period. We track and document. The man resumed in our church January 1. He joined welcome class February 15. He finished February 30 or February 28. He joined baptismal class March 20. He finished baptismal class August 27. From there, he joined the workers in training. Then the day he joined, or he or she joins the house fellowship or the cell system, we need to note all those things. As we are noting those things, we are tracking him. Then if we are in a church where people register their tithe, you match his tithe or our tithe with our documentation or our profile. So you need to open a database for him. So if he does that, you are tracking so many things so that you know whether he's growing or he's not. So when he stops coming to church, you know. And somebody's going to be watching and asking. Then as a pastor, on the hit of the button, you say, oh, this brother Felix James joined our church a year ago. What is he doing now? You can check the track or talk to the pastor in charge of freshers integration track. How is this brother doing? He tells you, then you call the brother and tell him summary of what he has been doing, that you appreciate what he's doing and what the progress is making. Then, of course, the pastor in charge also is in charge of documentation of the welfare and support each fresher receives from the church system. Because some people come in after 1 year and say the church has never helped them. So you need to document some of these things. It's a lot of work, but if you do it, the church will grow more because you can track them. How do I make freshers integration track work? Freshers integration track is effective if properly implemented. It is, however, important that, like every great program, it requires hard work, passion, commitment, and resilience. How do we make it work? The church brochure should contain a brief history of the church and its vision, mission, and core values. Helplines should also be included in the brochure. What it means is that when people come in, they must know what the church stands for. From when you are receiving them, welcome to our church, tell them the vision briefly, tell them the mission briefly, and tell them if you need anything, this is what you can do. And you can join the welcome class immediately. You can join the house fellowship. We do welfare. In about 10 minutes, we show them a panoramic view of the church. Let them know what the church is and how they can grow in the church. And the brochure should contain a summary of the path of the spiritual growth of the fresher within a year. The spiritual benefits a fresher will gain by joining the church, should also be highlighted. What are the benefits? Your prayer life will improve, your study life will improve, your consecration will improve. You'll be able to attract God's favor. Your spiritual needs will be met. You can grow more in the Lord. You can know God better. You can hear God. If you have not been baptized in the Holy Ghost, you can receive Holy Ghost baptism. You let them know some of those things, and you can begin to walk, pray for the sick, help people, and you get so they know that this is a place where they can add value to themselves, and they can also contribute their own quota to the growth of the church. And let them know that the church needs, in fact, they are the answer to the prayer of the church. And of course, all freshers must be acknowledged and celebrated on their first visit to the church. On their first visit to the church, then all returning freshers must be equally acknowledged and celebrated during their second visit to the church. A lot of churches, we don't do this. But when we do this, it means that you didn't forget the guy who came last Sunday. You remember him. He said, oh, they still call me out again. Oh, they didn't forget us. It will even help if the man or woman or the pastor are now recognizing them calls their name, because we took their names last week. Why did you take my name if you are not going to call my name? So it may also be nice, as I speak now, I've never done this before, but I'm going to start doing it from tomorrow. It would be nice to say, oh, Brother John came last Sunday, Brother Kelly came last Sunday, Sister Jane came last Sunday. We want to acknowledge them for coming last Sunday. If you are here, please, can you stand up, Brother Jane? Oh, Brother John, Brother Kelly, welcome, welcome. Mentioning them. Yes, I believe in calling them out, but I didn't know that you can have so many names. But when you mention them, there's a personal feeling to it. So they didn't just collect my name for nothing. And if it is okay, call them by name, let them know. If they say they are married, oh, how is your wife? You can mention the name of the wife. Even on the altar, how is your son? So they feel, oh, these people love me, they love me, you know. So it's not enough to acknowledge first-timers, even the returning freshers. The second Sunday must be acknowledged by name. I'm going to add that to my own regimen too. We acknowledge them by name. Then all freshers must be encouraged to join a church group, endeavor to challenge freshers to serve God with their God-given talents and skills. Everybody is valuable in the church, so ask them for their talent and skills. What do you do? What can you do for us? People want to be acknowledged, they want to contribute something. Every fresher must be attached to the duo of a minister. Must be attached to the duo of a minister and a worker who will have the responsibility of following up with the fresher. In most cases, two people can follow up on that fellow. They can also arrange to take the fresher out for a light lunch, or the next Sunday they can bring a small gift for the fresher. It makes the fresher to have a feeling of love, acceptance, and belonging, that they have a family here. Then the church must host a quarterly freshers luncheon. Quarterly, it doesn't need to cost so much. It will just be snacks. Freshers luncheon with the host pastor. Most preferably last Sunday of the month, or a Sunday that you are not very busy in church. You can close early and receive them. Plan it quarterly. This is to appreciate the freshers, make them have a close contact with the host pastor or resident pastor, and give them a platform to ask questions or clarify some issues about the vision, mission, core values, policies, programs, and activities of the church. Then only the most senior pastor or the next in line or in command to this most senior pastor should welcome freshers. That makes them feel more important, that I'm the pastor, I'm welcoming you to our church. It's the landlord that should welcome people, not just anybody. I know at times we are too busy, but that should be the job of the pastor. A welcome script should be written if it is not the pastor who will welcome them, and given to all the ministers who will have the responsibility of welcoming freshers during and after church service. Even when you meet with them after the service, there must be a script. We must speak the same language. We must say the same thing. So there must be a script. That's why this work is very tough. It's not an easy assignment, but if we can endeavor to do this, we will get traction. Then all freshers must be contacted via telephone calls and WhatsApp messages by at least 2 ministers or workers within the first 5 hours after the service. Within the first 5 hours after the service, there must be a deliberate intentional attempt to reach out to the first timers. And there must be a monthly review of the status of new members by the church council or C-suite church leaders or the strategic team of the church as the pastorate deems it fit. Those who join us in the last 1 month, what has happened to them? Where are they? That's how we become conscious. Then we call the pastor in charge of freshers integration track. What have you done? And let me explain this. The pastor in charge of freshers integration track is working with the counselors, with the reception team, with the ushers, with the greeters. He or she gets information from all these people, with the house fellowship coordinators who give him or her information in writing about the members who join and those who are joining them, so that we can have a strong database. And of course, it is important that the church has a secretariat that can process this information. If the pastor in charge of freshers integration is not a full-timer and is very busy, then there must be somebody who is processing all this information. It helps to put this in on a computer system. So that works. So in conclusion, how you onboard and integrate a fresher into your church system will determine how long the fellow will stay in your church and the productivity he or she will bring into your church system. That's very important. How you onboard them, how you bring them into the system in the first 1 month, how you make them feel. If you make them feel special, then they begin to feel special. But let me be honest with you, this freshers integration track is something I designed myself. I came up with it in 2016 when I came back from America. When I realized all the challenges that we had there, I compared it with Nigeria and I said there must be a system. And some people who are IT savvy and also put this on an app. There's somebody I know who said they have an app that is close to this. But again, you can use your manual or whatever. If you can use an app or develop an app around it, fine. Otherwise, put it on your computer system. Just create a database for your members and put all the columns. Date joined baptismal class, date to became worker, date they joined this, attendance. You just do all those things. And over time, you get results. So this is where we end this particular one. If you have a question or comment, let me know.